Hey, everybody, my name's Josh Howell. I'm the pastor here at Lake Hills Church, and thanks for taking time out of your holiday week or weekend to be able to tune in here with us for our annual podcast. We've done this the past several years on the last Sunday of the month in December to be able to just give people time to spend with their family, with their friends, to be able to maybe go out of town or do whatever you guys just want to do. Maybe just lay on the couch and watch some football and just enjoy some time with family. I know several of you are traveling. Some of you are just now doing Christmas with your family, maybe spending the week out of town for New Year's, and so we're able to have service, have a message like this, have a devotion like this, so we're able to give everyone time to be able to do that, and we're just so thankful for you, and we appreciate you tuning in. The past several years we've done this, and it's kind of become a tradition. So, but I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do want to take a moment before we get going just to say thank you to everyone that serves so faithfully and so well during our Christmas services, during our Christmas Eve service, during our Christmas program. We appreciate you guys, and none of that goes unnoticed. It doesn't matter what's happening on the stage. There's so many things that happen in the background of everything. And just from someone walking in the door and being greeted by our greeters or our check-in team, and for Lake Hills Kids, to our cafe, to our AV team that does so well, our worship team that practices and does all the things and prepares for Sunday that no one sees, and all the time that's placed in the office. Everyone that serves in Lake Hills Kids and preschool and nursery, all of those things that we just appreciate everything you guys do. Those that pray before service, during the week, during the service, all of those that are serving so faithfully. It really makes Lake Hills Lake Hills, and we love you guys so much, and we're so thankful for you. I really do hope you're having a good Christmas and a good holiday break with your family, and having some time to be able to spend with them. And it's really, I want to share just a little something with you today. I know this isn't a full-blown service and all of those type of things with worship and videos, but I do want to talk to you just a little bit kind of on that thought as we're heading into 2025. It's really easy to have high hopes. It's really easy to set goals. I think we all have goals that we want for 2025. It may be financially, it may be health-wise, it may be just moving towards what God is calling us to do in our calling, maybe on our job. Maybe you're applying for a different job or thinking about asking for a raise or a promotion, whatever it may be. But maybe you're just now setting goals and dreams for your life. Maybe you're young and you're trying to figure out what God is going to call you and lead you to down the road a little bit. And so here's one thing that I know, that I do know. Being 44, I know I'm not the oldest in our church. I know I'm not the elder quite yet as far as age goes, but one thing that I do know after 44 years, and I think it's quite true, is that it's the little things that matter. Whether it was Christmas, I know it sounds goofy, but there's a difference between that cheap Dollar Tree store wrapping paper and buying wrapping paper, from Hobby Lobby. Just those type of things. Like, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you go to cut it and use it and wrap, it's just a lot easier to use that thicker paper, that thinner stuff. And it's just the little things. It's having the right tape. It's having enough tape. It's having a good sharp pair of scissors. It's the little things that matter. Just as something simple as wrapping a gift, or finding that little thing that you like in your stocking. Maybe, for you, it's getting some specific food at the family Thanksgiving or Christmas meal, maybe that piece of chocolate or pack of cookies or something that somebody, like I mentioned, they put in your stocking, just that little thing that you've been asking for all year long. I think one of my favorite gifts I've ever received was a lunchbox that my kids picked out for me that I needed when I was working in the corporate world. I was there 10 plus hours every day, and I needed something a little bit bigger, and it had all these little compartments and everything, and it just really mattered. It didn't seem like a big deal maybe to everybody, but I really liked that lunchbox. And so sometimes it's just the little things, and it's the little things in our lives that really do add up to something big. And that's what I want to share with you today. You may be watching this on an iPhone. You may be watching this on a small screen there on your phone, and it's made up of pixels. I wrote some numbers down. If you're watching this on your iPhone, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is the big one, it has a resolution of 2868 by 1320 pixels. So that may not mean much to you, but I can tell you per inch, that's 460 pixels. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a really clear screen, and it may not seem like a lot, but each and every one of those little pixels is what adds up to the overall video there. And without those 460 pixels per inch, the image is just not as clear, and we get that old kind of fuzzy image in our life, there on our phone without the sound card, without the speakers, maybe without the earphones or the AirPods or the earbuds, and maybe you're still using some old wired earbuds there. You may be able to see clearly, but you wouldn't be able to hear clearly. And so it's all of those little things that add up to just being able to communicate this way. I've got the microphone and the wire and a little bitty miniature video card that is recording all of this on. And without those little things, it wouldn't add up to us being able to do this. And so today I just kind of want to talk to you and talk to me, remind myself about how many times maybe that we give up a little bit too early. We stop those little habits. It's those little things that really make a big difference in our life. And so many times I think we go into the new year with all these goals, with all these dreams, and before our new habits even can really take hold in our life, we quit. We quit eating healthy before our doctor tells us to. We quit saving money before we have enough to pay off the debt, or to buy the new thing and we just go ahead and buy it anyway, and now we're in more debt. We'll quit praying before we have an answer. We'll stop trying sometimes before we can even finish. And I think it really comes down to this one thing. It's being faithful in the little things is a big thing. And that's really kind of the thought I want to share with you today is I'm going to read it again. Being faithful in the little things is a big thing. We're told in Scripture that if we have faith as small as a mustard seed, which is really, really small, that we can move mountains. Matthew chapter 17, verse 20 says, I tell you the truth, if you had faith even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it would move. Nothing would be impossible. It's just the small, faithful actions that equal to significant change. It's the repeated workout that equals a strong body. It's the repeated phone and text, the phone calls and the text that build healthy relationships, or just, lunch dates or dinner dates or small little notes or whatever it may be. It's the consistently saving $1 here and there wherever you can that gets you out of debt and gets you into a safety net of savings. I know so many of us, we want to be there. It's finishing one class at a time. I remember being in college, it's like, if I could just get through this one class, one semester at a time, that eventually you'll get your degree. And so it's being faithful in the little things that end up being a big thing. It's like those little faithful decisions all throughout our life, every day, every month, every week, that really do make a tremendous impact in our life and really just on us. A little bit goes a long way. So our little offerings of faith, our little offerings of obedience compound over time to really make a big difference. Luke chapter 16, verse 10 says, if you're faithful in the little things, you'll be faithful in the large ones. And so I think sometimes we overlook that. We think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little bit of little thing. It's not that big of a deal. But Scripture's telling us it's the little things that matter a lot. And if we're faithful in the little things, then we'll be faithful in the large ones. I think back at the end, as 2024 is closing, this is the end of 20 years, not specifically to the year of ministry, but just to the year that I started full-time ministry right out of college in 2004. Now, I haven't been full-time the whole time. I've actually been in the corporate world most of those 20 years. It's getting closer to even now. And so most of my time hasn't been in full-time ministry, but I've been in ministry after I left Lee for 20 years. And there's been a lot of times it would just been really easy to quit. I've met pastors that have told me, I quit every Monday. Just every Monday I quit. Thankfully, it hasn't been like that for me. I've certainly had my share of days and weeks and even Sundays where I felt that way. But, ministry is just like most other situations in life where there's work to be done and there's things that you have to do that you don't want to do. And so not every day is Christmas. Not every day is Disney World. Sometimes it feels like the whole week is 7 Mondays long. And I'm sure you feel that way on a regular here and there, sprinkled all throughout life at your job. It's just the same. I've worked in the corporate world. I've worked full-time ministry, and there's not a lot of difference other than the emphasis on the spiritual. And work is still work. Paperwork is still paperwork. Bills are still bills, and uncomfortable conversations are still uncomfortable conversations, and planning is still planning. And so, and some days remind you though why you took that job. You'll have those moments where, you just have those moments in ministry. Sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's months where it's just, everything is just going great. And it reminds you of why you said yes to the job. It reminds you of why you say yes to the calling, and what God has asked you to do, and where God has placed you in life. You may feel that as parenting, and maybe you're feeling that in your marriage and in your finances or whatever. You remember why you're trying to save, and you remember why you were trying to lose weight, and all of those things. And it doesn't matter what area of life it is. I want to give you an acronym today. We've got to have grit. We've got to have grit in every part of our life. We've got to have grit. And if you're watching this, hopefully take just a second, maybe even type that out in the chat. Just write it. You got to have grit, and GRIT. And I want to give you a word for each and every one of those. And it's grace, it's resilience, it's integrity, and it's teachability. And being faithful in the little things. All of these little things add up to a big thing. And so the first one is grace. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to feel worthy. I can guarantee it. Others around you are going to make mistakes. It's going to be frustrating. It's going to be confusing at times. But God said his grace is sufficient. So I just want to encourage you in 2025, as we close 2024 out, God says his grace is sufficient, so let it be sufficient. Let it be sufficient for you. Let it be sufficient for them. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And there was one time, I'll tell you a funny story. We were trying to order some food at Wendy's, and we were going through the drive-thru, and I kept trying to order a 10-piece chicken McNugget meal. And I had 4 kids barking out what they wanted to eat. And they were trying to tell me. My wife was trying to help me keep it all in order and remember what everybody was wanting. Neither one of us caught the fact that I kept saying I would like a 10-piece chicken McNugget meal, and kept being told that they didn't have chicken McNuggets. And I was like, what? And he's like, well, we have chicken nuggets. And it just didn't cross my mind that I was saying chicken McNuggets at Wendy's. And so the guy starts to get a little snippy and rude. And I'm like, but you have chicken nuggets. That's what I'm saying. And he was like, yes, I can get you chicken nuggets, just not chicken McNuggets. And it didn't cross my mind what I was saying. And neither one of us were catching the fact that we were adding the McDonald's McNuggets there on it. And, the guy starts to get snippy and rude. So Dad put the car in drive and I left to go where they sold chicken McNuggets. And, sometimes we need grace and sometimes we need mercy and sometimes we need to give grace and we need to give grace and mercy. And so just remember at some point in time, you'll need one or you'll need both of those categories. And so let's try to give it as easy as we receive it. And that's not always as easy as it sounds, but we need to do it. As far as going we've got the grace, we need the R, got the G, we got the R. It's resilience. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And so just want to speak that over you this year. There's going to be a hard moment. There's going to be a hard time. It may be a short amount of time. It may just be within a day. It may be a day. It may be days. It may be weeks. Whatever it is, just don't give up. Just shake it off. It reminds me of an old story. You've probably heard it before, where the donkey was put down in the well or down in the hole, and he was, going to be buried alive. And with every dig and throw of the shovel, as the dirt fell, the donkey would just shake it off, and he would stomp on it. And eventually, over time, the person that was trying to bury him didn't realize that he was actually raising him up. And so as the donkey kept stomping, the hole kept getting more full and full and full until he could just walk out and he was free. And this past year, maybe you felt like you've been slowed down by the enemy. The enemy's trying to bury you alive, maybe with debt, maybe with financial pressure, maybe with some kind of relationship or marital issues, maybe it's your job, whatever it is. The enemy has just been coming after you and attacking you. And maybe it may happen to you this year. And I just want to encourage you just to continue just shaking it off and keep stepping on it, stomping on it. And eventually what the enemy meant for evil, God will use for good, and you'll raise right out of that situation. And so stay resilient. Keep shaking it off and allow God to raise you up. The next one is I. We got the G, we got the R, we got the I for integrity. If you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. It just really doesn't. Being faithful in the little things is a big deal. And it reminds me of a couple passages of scripture, because we've got to have integrity in every part of our life. It's one of the things that is really essential in ministry. If you lose your integrity with others, you eventually hit a place where you just can't minister anymore. And if we can't minister, if we can't speak into people's lives, then God can't use us. And unfortunately, that happens from time to time or has in people's lives. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 9 says, whoever walks with integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. And so we've got to be careful of that, and we've got to make sure that we've got integrity. And that's integrity, as I've told my kids, that's when everybody's looking and when nobody's looking. I've told my kids this. It doesn't bother me that you've done this thing. It bothered me that you were okay doing this thing. And that means that if you're okay doing that in front of me, then what are you doing when I'm not around? And that's what really concerns me. Titus chapter 2, verse 7 and 8 says, in everything set example by them. So he's talking to Titus. He's giving him some instruction about ministry. And he says, in everything, set them an example by doing what is good. That's a tough ask of people in men. That's a tough thing to in everything, but it's a calling. And if it's not a calling, it's really easy to get burnt out in that. And it's really easy to, now the grace still kicks in and the mercy still kicks in, because nobody's perfect. But he says, in everything, set an example by doing what is good. And if you mess up, try to own that, admit that. If we're faulty in that, it says, in your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about us. And so, we've got to have that integrity. We're going to make sure that what we're teaching, what we're saying is shows integrity, shows seriousness and soundness of speech. And so whether it's on the job, make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're showing up on time. We're doing the things that are in our job description, that so that no one can have anything bad to say about you. Maybe go over every now and then. Maybe ask the questions that may seem embarrassing, but just ask for clarification, and just try to have integrity in what you do and genuinely care, and show compassion where you can. So, and have that integrity when everybody's looking and when nobody's looking. So, the last one, T on the grit is, so we've got our G, we got our R, we got our I, and now our T, which is teachability. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 9 says, instruct the wise and they will be even wiser. Teach the righteous and they will learn even more, which means that I'm teachable. I'm able to receive instruction. I can hear you. I can apply it, and I'm willing to maybe self-reflect from time to time. I've had that a lot in my life, where someone may even accuse me of doing something that I know I didn't do, accuse me of saying something that I know I didn't say, and I try to just stop and examine and say, what if I didn't say it? Then what did I do? What did I say that would have allowed them to think that it was implied, even to that point? What did I give off some vibe or something? Did I make it to where they can assume that that's what I'm talking about? And sometimes that's just, you can't help but what everybody thinks or what everybody assumes. But we have to be, in a position to where we're teachable. And, things have not gone right. I've tried to be funny when it wasn't funny, and I've tried to do things when it wasn't the right time, and I've learned to not do those things. And hopefully we become wise. I remember being on staff when I was 24, 25, 26, and people, for whatever, was like, he's 24, but he's pretty smart. He's pretty wise. And honestly, all I did was follow the example of good people, of good things in my life. And I tried to stay away from the bad things that I unfortunately had the opportunity to witness people do in a wrong way. And so I tried to take and learn from people's, others' mistakes, and tried to replicate or duplicate the other things in people's lives that they had done well. And so, we've been married 21 years. I've got 18 years of parenting. We're in 20 plus years of ministry. And in those times, we've learned what not to do, and we've learned the things to try to do. And we're still learning along the way. I've told my oldest, Annabeth, I've never been the parent of a 10-year-old, of a teenager, and now 18 headed towards college. We've never had a child that, is having to apply for college. Thankfully, we've done that, and we've been there. And so we can say, hey, we've experienced that. But, I've never been the parent of a child, and it's a different perspective. And, one of these days we'll be the parents of a bride and the parents of a groom, and we've never had that perspective. And so we ask other parents, we ask others, if we all live long enough, we're gonna lose a loved one. We're gonna lose parents. We're gonna lose siblings, aunts, and uncles. We haven't been there that often, and thankfully God's given us people in our life that we can talk to and walk through life with, and we've got friends that have gone through that, and we can help and support each other. And so be willing to share your story. Be willing to let others know what you've gone through, because you may be able to help them and teach them something. And so don't withhold that blessing from them just from being able to hear your testimony. And don't think that you have it all together. Scripture tells us to very clearly in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12, he says, if you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. And Scripture makes it pretty clear that pride goes before a fall. And so, kind of just to close it up with you today, and I could share with you for a while, but because I love this kind of stuff, but does faithfulness compound kind of like interest? Yes, it does. Every single day. It's the little things that add up to the big things. And, my voice at 44 heading towards 45 doesn't sounds a lot different. Doesn't sound the same as it did at 22 and at 30, even after 22 or 20 plus years of showing back up in ministry. I can guarantee you, after 21 years of marriage, after 18 years of parenting, it's going to take grit. And it is my goal in life, regardless of my bank account, regardless of any of those things. And I want those things to be left for my kids, and I want to live a long, healthy life. But my one goal in life is to hear God say, well done, good and faithful servant. And so I want to just encourage you, whatever it is, whatever that area is, whatever that goal is, let's head towards 2025 with that one goal. Let's have that one goal, which I think will help us in all the other areas. If you want to lose weight, if you want to get out of debt, if you want to have a better marriage, if you want to get closer to God, if you want to read the Bible all the way through, I think if you'll make it your goal to go through 2025 with grit, with grace, with resilience, with integrity, with teachability, I think you'll be able to hit or exceed every single goal, every single dream that God's placing in your heart and in your life. And so let's go out and do that. I'm praying for you. We love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic New Year's. I hope you've had a great Christmas. Don't forget, we will not be having First Wednesday this Wednesday. Just because it falls on the 1st, everybody, so many people are out of town and doing things. So we'll be back together Sunday, January the 5th. And we love you guys. I hope you know that. I hope you feel that. I hope you have a fantastic couple days of rest. And I just pray God's blessing on you. And we'll see you next Sunday. Love you guys. Bye-bye.